Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Indigo Podcast. I am your host, Diana Min, and I have a very special guest with me today, Miss Lorelai Bayette. Yes, yay!
Hi.
Yes, oh my God. If you guys don't know who Lorelai is already, then you guys need to get to know her because she is an amazing goddess, queen, transformational coach. I mean, I've only known her maybe like a week now, but when I met you, I just felt like there was this deep soul resonance that we had together.
Definitely.
And it was just like a no-brainer, we need to be besties. So.
I know. So now we're here.
Now she's joining us on the podcast. And yeah, Lorelai, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Let the audience know who you are, what you do, and all of the magic.
Yes. So my name is Lorelai Bayette, and I help conscious entrepreneurs and creators of all types, even soulful go-getters, create a life that they love through spirituality.
Wow.
So I merge spirituality, productivity. I've studied with high-level executives. I've coached high-level executives, and I've also done the exact opposite by having spiritual coaches and practicing with monks and things like that. Wow. To integrate two seemingly exclusive worlds. So yeah. I try to merge the spiritual world and the hustle together.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it shows in your life, right? Because you are such like a boss businesswoman, but you're also such like a heart-centered, like spiritual, like being and ray of light. And it's just like those like two dynamics just really support like your essence. And I feel super blessed to be able to just be able to have you in my life. I mean, like, I don't know if you guys are looking for someone to help you level up. I mean, I have like 10, 15 minute conversations with Lorelai and I feel upgraded. Like, it's like, I told you on last night we were on the phone, I'm like, girl, you get me high. Like, I don't even know what it is. It's like, just a very, very high vibration.
Yes, honey. We're vibrating on the same frequency. So
yes.
I love it. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share with your audience. So.
Oh, yes. I'm excited too. Well, maybe we should also let them know like how we met, which is pretty fucking amazing. So we both attended this retreat this past weekend. It was called Creatrix Matrix. It's curated by Caitlin Pasternak. And if you're following any type of like self-development, like spiritual mentors, like she is definitely a badass leader in that field. And I mean, the way I found her was super aligned, and I'm not even sure how you found her, but all in alignment for us to be, together this past weekend doing some intense, deep spiritual work. And I mean, wow, I can't even. I'm like, this episode here is us still processing in real time. So yeah.
Yeah, it was like it was extremely high vibrational container in which we did some deep transformational work, and what she exhibited so well is that like your soul and spirituality doesn't necessarily have to make sense, but you can feel the shift in your vibration without having to consciously interpret it through your intellectual mind.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of shifting with our mind, but mostly shifting with our body and our frequency, which is a different take that I resonate with more than just mindset work, because I feel like we're evolving out of just the mindset and we're realizing, wait a minute, we're all spiritual beings before anything. We're all energy, frequency, vibration. And so let's work on that. And that is the hustle. Yeah. And so that's why Caitlin really resonates with me.
Yeah. And I love the way that she even like, just the way that she communicates and the way that she just allows you to come back into yourself, because it's like she doesn't tell you, hey, this is what I did, so therefore you need to do what I did to be successful, to get to where I'm at. I love that aspect of that. She's like, feel into yourself, listen to source, tune into what your soul wants, and then find your path that way. And it's just such an intuitive way to coach, and it's so much deeper than any other like transformational coach or mentor that I've kind of seen out there. So I feel super blessed to have been there. And I think also just all the women that were in there, obviously you and I connected, we're very much on the same frequency, but everyone else in there too, I was just like, I would be like sweating because I'm just like, yo, like this like high vibes got me so hot right now. Like it was like amazing.
Yeah, and I think we undervalue sisterhood. Like sisterhood is so incredibly important, and to have women that you can that you can relate to on a soul level, that can call you out on your shit in a loving and non-judgmental way, is something that we all need more of. It takes us back to that kind of like ancestral community that we're kind of lacking in this lonely and distracted world right now. So it felt good to step into that container and be like, hey girl, like no, like this is what's in your field, and let's clear that shit. It's like, oh my God, that's my love language. Are you serious?
Yo, and honestly, for me, and you know this because we were there this weekend together, but I have this huge thing about asking for help. And just even coming into a container like that where I'm like, I even try to kind of have my ego on a little bit
when
my God. First walked in,
everyone. She walks in, she's all pretty, like with her whole like little thing, like guard up, as like your guard was so up, and I was like, that looks familiar. I'm probably doing that same thing.
Yeah, it's funny when I look at it now that I would come into a setting like that where like everybody's trying to help each other, and I'm kind of looking around like I'm the one that needs the least amount of help. And like it was crazy, and this is how I know Caitlin is like on another level, because she literally met me for 2.5 seconds and was like, what is this? We're not trying to fight you. Put your guard down. Why are you so insecure? Like, I was just like, oh my God.
She read our mail.
Yeah.
Immediately. Like, first of all, we get there, it's a mansion. And we get there, and I'm like, in my Uber, I Ubered with 6 girls. I'm like, yeah, we're all laughing now. But watch when we get in there, it's going to be like, do. And we get in there, and she's like, introduce yourself. Make eye contact with every woman in the room. And then tell them what you don't want them to know about you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we're getting real fast.
Yeah. Wow. It was like within 5 minutes, like girls were crying, like girls were just like moving through energy, going through stuff, shedding those layers. And I was thinking in my head, like, yeah, that's not going to happen to me when I get up there. I'm like, she's not gonna do that to me. And then within like 2 minutes, I'm like, I can't, I don't know. I just want help. And
our souls were naked.
Yeah.
It was like standing in front of a crowd naked, but like soul naked.
It was so vulnerable.
I was like, bruh, this is like what I expected, but like this was not what I was expecting, but it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Because it was like, hey, here's all our shit on the table. And I didn't feel 1 ounce of judgment. Not in my heart, obviously, but especially not with other people. So that's what allowed us to work through all that stuff, is just knowing that, hey, we all have our shit, and here it is on the table.
Yeah.
And let's like work through this together.
And it's coming from my background of being an abused child, like that is unheard of, right? Because the way that I operated before this was like, you don't let people see, your wounds and your vulnerability and your weaknesses, because people are going to judge you and people are going to criticize you and people are going to condemn you. And that is a huge, like deep-rooted fear of mine. So that's, why I kind of have this, like, I'm put together. Everything is fine. I got this. I don't need any help. And, she saw right through that, tore it down immediately. And, to feel safe in an environment to, be like, yeah, like, I don't fucking know what I'm doing, and I'm fucking lost, and I need help. And, I remember when she said, are you ready for sisterhood? It was like, ooh, like, that shit hit me to my core, and I was like, damn, like, I have been, like, really living like a lone wolf, like an island for a long time. And, I was just I sat in 2 ayahuasca ceremonies 2 weeks prior to this container. And, the messages that I got during my ceremony was for me to release control. And, really, it's like seeing it. And, when you come into an ayahuasca ceremony, the medicine really allows you to see in a visual form these like energetic things, so it'll come like a vision, so what I saw was like this brick wall that I was like gripping into the concrete with my fingernails, death gripping, like trying to keep my wall, my facade, my structures up out of this deep fear that if I didn't exert this aggressive control onto my life, that everything would fall apart and that I have nothing to support me and there's nothing that's going to catch me and I'm the only one that has to carry it and I have to do it, and even when, I went into my ceremony, she told me to release control, and once I did, I felt this like ease come over me, and I felt this, my heart open up and get out of this survival frequency and open up to this prosperity that I had never felt before, and it felt amazing. And once my wall crumbled, I saw that the universe, source, spirit had been waiting, literally waiting for me to give me every single thing that I want in my life, but because I was so deep in fear and control, I couldn't allow it in. But it's crazy because as much as I can receive, those messages, those divine messages from source in an ayahuasca ceremony, if you don't integrate it into your life, you don't integrate the lessons practically into your life, it's just, it just kind of goes over you, washes over you, sits in your pocket, you don't use it. It's like having tools but not utilizing it. And what I really love about going into this, container of Creatrix Matrix was that it was the toolbox and how to use the tools. It was like a fucking manuscript. Okay, you have this information, how are we going to apply it to your life? And so I really do feel like this container was essentially just a continuation of my ayahuasca ceremonies, and really allowing me to see in waking life, in conscious life, how to apply this in a way that's going to serve my highest.
And I think that's what one of my missions is, and what I like is to really break things down into pragmatic, practical, daily steps to get you where you want to go. Because when I'm studying with people who are, super spiritual, it's I can understand this, but how do we get this to the masses to where it's practical and tangible and you can touch it and you can be like, okay, this is what I need to do to get me to that place, because awareness is not enough. Knowledge is not enough. Applied awareness, applied knowledge is what you need to truly transform.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it's an ongoing thing with your faith, because faith and fear cannot exist at the same time. And so we're constantly working through, as we rise into new states of being, as we rise into new states of leadership, new states of friendship, relationships, whatever, as we rise, what happens is we're confronted with patterns and wounds that we didn't know existed. And so we're constantly facing off with faith and fear. And we have a choice. We live in a dual reality. Am I going to choose faith, or am I going to choose fear? Am I going to choose appreciation, or am I going to choose complaining? Am I going to choose my old past pattern, or am I going to choose new? And it's like strengthening a muscle every single time. But in order to do that, we have to be dropped in and aware and present. And so what I like about that container is bringing us, the reason why we were more ourselves is because we were aligned with spirit. And the reason why we were aligned with spirit is because we did the breath work. We did the movement. We shook out our subconscious patterns by moving our body and breathing. The literal translation of breath is spirit. So with the breath work, now it's like when I do hypnosis, you're just ready. Whatever we place into the subconscious mind, once you're in that theta state, once you're in that relaxed state, it's just easy. It's imprinting straight into your subconscious mind. So I was exposed to new levels of breath work in that container that I'm going to take with me forever. So yeah, it was I've never taken ayahuasca, but from what it sounds I have taken shrooms before. It sounds like a plant medicine ceremony without the plant medicine. And like you said, you had your conscious mind on board while you were working on your unconscious mind. Because that's what happens when you take plant medicine sometimes. You're just left with this desolate feeling of your soul expanding, but your human not.
Right.
Your human isn't catching up with your soul, and that can make you feel really empty and spiral you into an even worse pattern than before.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly what I felt it was. And you know, I've sat in over like probably about 40 ceremonies, and that's kind of where I was like, now what? And that's why I signed up for this, because I was like, okay, now what? Like, I have all this information, I have all this knowledge, exactly what you said. It's like, it's applied knowledge, right? And then being in this place where it's just like, oh God, we were being stretched so far beyond our comfort zones. I was highly uncomfortable in so many situations, but like, again, in this place of no judgment, right? So yeah, you mentioned the breath work, and I really want to talk about...
Oh, let's talk about that, girl. We haven't even talked about that with each other.
Yeah. So
what was your experience?
Okay, so just so the audience knows, they had this, they brought in this beautiful, amazing goddess woman named Rosalind, who is a shamanic breath work healer. And I mean, I had never done a breath work ceremony before. And I don't even think I was doing it right. I think like the first half I kind of fell asleep, and then like someone...
No, that's good.
Yeah, somebody came over like, deeper. I don't know if it was Caitlin or Rosalind, or like pushing into my chest, deeper into here, open your mouth, like squeezing my face and stuff. And I was like, I'm not doing it right. But then when I finally got into it, wow. I mean, it was like a plant medicine ceremony for me. I had lost complete control of my hands and feet. I felt like a giant was stepping on my hands and my feet. They went completely numb. I lost all control of my body. My body was convulsing. I was purging energy. I can feel it. I can feel this energy that was coming. I was coughing. It was almost like an actual physical purge. I was like, like my body's convulsed. I have zero control. I know Rosalind came over and she was like chanting little things in my ear, and I felt somebody kind of like grounding by my legs. And it's like, even when everybody kind of came, like women were screaming, crying,
laughing,
wailing,
chanting. There was all types of different sounds.
Yeah, it was intense. And at first when I wasn't into it, I'm like, are they for real right now? But then when I got into it, I'm like, yeah, this is for real right now. This is for real. What came up for me was just realizing that that although I have been alone my whole life, and I really embody this independent woman like strong and all that stuff, it really comes from a place of just bitter loneliness and just really sadness, you know, and really feeling into that loneliness, and how I'm actually angry about it. And even when they kind of took everybody out of the meditation, everybody went outside to ground, I was still very much in it. I saw you. Yeah, and my teeth were chattering, like everything, my whole body was just like in another, like in this purge state, right? In this just complete surrender. And when my breath kind of calmed down, she whispered something where she goes, "You're gonna get through this." And then when my breath finally calmed down, I kind of came to. She said, "Can you move?" She put me into a fetal position, and when I was in the fetal position, I just broke down crying, because what it reminded me of was me being in a fetal position as a young child, suffering a lot of abuse, just crying on the floor, and being left to cry on the floor. And and what it was is like releasing these deep energetic wounds, but then also taking you to the core, to the original wound of where that stems from, and really tracing it up into your life and really seeing that thread. And so when I was there lying on the floor crying, and just Rosalind was just there holding space for me, just like a loving mother, it was so healing for me. Wow, like I definitely recommend, if you can find... I mean, I honestly have been talking about trying to organize a breath work ceremony with Rosalind, because I feel like everybody needs to experience that. That was out of this world.
I want to do one before we leave, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah. What was your experience like with the breath work ceremony?
So with the breath work, I went into that container saying, I'm going to give this my all. Like, I'm giving everything, my full vulnerability. I'm going to meet this with so much vulnerability. And so when I did the breathing, I just completely let go. And what was interesting was my entire body started vibrating at such a high frequency, like not shaking, vibrating. And the girl that was next to me, Olivia, she told me later, like, I accidentally touched her and she felt like a zap, like she got electrocuted. Wow. And what happened was, like, as I was breathing, and by the way, the part where you feel like you fell asleep, you're just in a deep theta state. So that's perfect. Like, that's perfect. It's all perfect, right? So when I was laying there, we were basically laying on our back with our hands at our sides. My body could not help but to start to levitate off the ground. The only thing and my body opened up like a lotus flower. Wow. And it felt like a cosmic orgasm. And so the only thing that was on the floor was my tailbone. That was the only thing on the floor, and I could not control it. So I went through a wave of emotions of laughter, crying, chanting, all this stuff. And it felt really, really like an orgasm, you know, when your body just uncontrollably opens up.
Yeah.
And what that symbolized for me was like, the message that came through was like, Lorelai, you're contracted and you don't even know it. How can you be in a position to receive? This is the energy of receiving. This is the openness. This is the vulnerability. This is the divine feminine waiting for the divine masculine to come help you co-create. Because I've done so much work with the divine feminine that I'm now ready, and it felt like, whoa, I'm supported. Like, I remember just opening up and so many emotions coming through and just being in this blissful state of being. It was total bliss. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to get out of it.
Yeah.
I was like, this feels fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and so what that symbolized to me was like the same kind of relationship that I had, that I have with the divine masculine. Like, what was funny is how you said it's a continuation of your ayahuasca ceremony. On Father's Day, I did a shroom ceremony, and the divine masculine penetrated my entire being, and I wept, and I was like so humbled, and I realized like I went through my entire life because I was abandoned. I didn't have my parents, and I was passed around on my dad's side of the family. And I felt like a visitor in homes usually, and there was a lot of chaos and things like that. And when I got to be an adult, after getting out of a relationship, I realized that I had abandoned myself in so many ways. I had been so overconsumed with how this person perceives me or what he's doing or what he's thinking, or just abandoning myself, not coming home to who I truly am. And I went through that whole process. So the shroom ceremony brought me to this process of source abandonment. And that's when I realized, oh, I had to come back to self and empower myself and get back to self-love. And I did that. And then I got back because my father transitioned into the spiritual realm. That's why I wanted to do shrooms on Father's Day, because I wanted to reprogram that trauma. And so when he reconnected me indirectly with the divine masculine energy, which is that God force energy. And so when I surrendered to that, my body was just lying open, and I was just like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I was just crying like, thank you. Like, how could I ever abandon you? And I found my way back to source, and I was ready to submit. And that's when I realized this is going to change every relationship that I have with men in my life. Because now I'm having a relationship. I realize source is my soulmate. And I have to deal with that. Like, I have to nurture that relationship. So when I was laying there in that breath work, it was confirmation, like, this is how open you need to be. Submit to this divine masculine energy, and you are supported. And so it was also a continuation of a plant ceremony for me, but from like back in July.
Yeah.
So talk about learning to integrate.
Yeah.
So it was like pretty powerful and potent.
Oh God, I'm like, I have goosebumps right now. I just, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. This is the work, you know, this is the work, is really diving deep into the depths of our being and really examining, like, who am I being? Where am I giving my energy to? What am I focusing on? And where do I need to heal? You know, I feel like a lot of times the healing is overlooked in our society. You know, people really, and you know, this expansion that you talk about, it's not that, you know, that you were consciously trying to abandon yourself or not.
Nope.
But it's just like that.
Survival.
It's exactly. It's a survival instinct. It's the way that we learn to cope. It's the way we learn to move forward and to get ourselves where we think we need to be. And a lot of times it is hard to, you know, process things in real time. You know, because, you know, you're when you're in those times of trauma, losing your father, you know, times of abuse or whatever it is, it's like your mind and your body kind of have to have this kind of disconnect in order for you to kind of come into a place where it's like, I have to move forward, I have to survive, I can't deal with this in depth right now. But I really, really appreciate, you know, just all of the opportunities that to be around such strong reflections that would be like, hey, like, let's look at this, you know, let's examine this, let's heal this, so that you can move lighter into your life and really come into just picturing you opening up like a lotus flower. I'm like, oh yes, girl.
It was like uncontrollable. Like, I was trying to resist it, and my body was just shaking and opening like a lotus flower. But it's like, to talk about what you were just saying is like when we're younger, we don't have the consciousness to be like, wow, my parents left me, like they have their own things that they're dealing with. It's probably, no, you don't know that. So you get just imprinted with emotions. Like, I don't matter. Yeah. It's just a subconscious thing that goes, oh, okay, I don't matter. So everybody comes first. So because everybody comes first, I'm a self-abandonment. And self-abandonment looks like so many different things. You have to go back and look at that. And if you're not willing to sit with the parts of you that are unwanted or negative or whatever you want to label them, the hurtful things, if you're not willing to sit with that, then you're just perpetuating the same thing that your parents did to you onto yourself. Yeah. You're saying you don't fucking matter and that you're only going to get conditional love. You have to start giving yourself unconditional love, which means holding space for yourself even when you're messing up, even when you don't feel good, so when you're able to meet yourself with the same vulnerability of all those aspects, then you're truly able to shed light. What is enlightenment? It's bringing light to the shadow. But if you don't bring your awareness to the shadow, how can you embody a light frequency into that place? But when you start doing that, when people are like, oh my God, you're so confident. Like, you're so this and you're so that. I'm like, yeah. Because I organize ceremonies around my pain. I sit with the depths of my despair. And I listen to myself. And no, I'm not perfect at it. I'm not getting it all out. But I think of it like a sponge. If I'm full of all this toxic water, I'm trying to wring it out and get to the bottom of it. But the thing is, we judge our emotions. And therefore we never get to the root. We're like, oh no, I don't want to be negative. I don't want to be judgmental. I don't want to be like this. No, there is a root to that trigger. Go into it. Get as petty as possible. Go get as sad as possible. And at the very bottom of that, you transcend. Then you're able to let go. Then you're able to get the message, but not until you're able to really meet that aspect of yourself with full vulnerability and intention.
Yeah. But, because it's uncomfortable, people are going to avoid it. And that's the unfortunate truth, and it's only, I feel like I'm so blessed to know people that dive deep into it. I love diving deep into my shit. Right? I love crying. I was with a girlfriend the other day and like, I'm crying and she's like thinking that that's something wrong. I'm like, emotion is not wrong, girl. It's okay to feel. I don't need you to fix anything just because I'm crying. And that's the conditioning of people, like, crying is bad. Sadness is bad. Happiness good. You know what I mean? And it's just like, no, girl, let me cry. This is good.
Yeah.
This is healing.
Don't try to make it better.
Yeah.
I used to do that all the time, and I see it in my clients. I'm like, you're trying to go from A to C, the problem to the solution. You're missing B. B is all of your emotions. And that's a good point, Diana, is to, like, when your friends are coming to us with certain things, and this is what coaching has taught me too, is like, hold space for that. Let them just get it out. Yeah. You don't need to fix anything. There's nothing to fix. And the paradox is, the more you're willing to feel those, quote, bad emotions or unwanted emotions, the more you're able to feel the joy. Yeah. Because you can't like be like, oh, I'm not going to feel sad or negativity. I'm going to ignore all that and truly feel joy. Yeah. You just, it doesn't work like that.
I know.
Sorry, you got to have it all. You got to take it all.
I know. But it's so funny that people will really try and project that on, really like hold that facade of like, I'm good, maybe I was even doing it too, and it's crazy.
We've all done it.
Yeah, we've definitely all done it, which is why I'm so grateful to like come into this container this past weekend for me to really look at like where I have been lying to myself. And I'm thinking I'm doing all this work. I sit in ayahuasca ceremonies, like I face my shit, like I'm good. No, there were parts of, and you mentioned the divine masculine, so I do want to get into that because that was huge for me. And, and I hope you guys understand that we're not talking about like a man, right? We're not talking about a physical, man coming into your life and being masculine and we're talking about a spirit, right? So we are women spiritual, beings, light workers. And so we're very much in touch with our divine feminine, and this place of being in creation, of being connection and nurturing and loving. But what I was really lacking in my life was this divine masculine that Caitlin pointed out to me. And I didn't really understand it, what she was talking about at first. But what she's talking about is the spirit of the divine masculine, and having that balance within your being, within your soul, of the yin and the yang, the feminine of creation and the masculine of support. And that's really what I was lacking in my life. And that was the theme of my entire weekend, was, this feeling like I don't have support and I have to carry it all on my own. And then when we got into the divine masculine work, and, she had basically us partner up with someone and have them, embody the divine masculine and really talk to, this person embodying the divine masculine spirit, I fucking broke down. I just realized, the first things out of my mouth to in this conversation with the divine masculine was like, I'm so fucking angry. So fucking angry at you. I felt like you abandoned me. I felt like, you didn't take care of me. You've seen me suffering, and you didn't give a fuck. And you just let me struggle. Mm-hmm. And what I realized that who I was really talking to was my father. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of, going into the different meditations that we went through with the different shamanic healers that came through, there was a point where I saw the root of why I feel I am alone and why I don't feel I deserve support or am supported or will be taken care of, and where that sense of angry, bitter independence comes from. And it was a moment in my childhood that, my vision took me to, where I was crying on the floor, like face down on the floor, and someone walking over me and completely ignoring me and completely disregarding my wailing, deep fucking soul pain that I was experiencing in that moment. I'd probably just been, beat or whatever, and just left there on the floor. And so the person that walked over me was actually my father. So even though he wasn't the one who was, abusing me physically, that was my mother, his inaction,
negligence,
was actually just as traumatic to me.
You're not seen.
His complete just ignoring of my pain was just as traumatic. So that has been my fucked up relationship with the divine masculine, was that fuck you. And that's really where that moment was like, fuck you, I'm gonna fucking do it, I'm gonna fucking make it, I don't need anybody, I don't need you, I'm gonna do it on my own, fucking watch me, and where all of this anger and aggressive, independence came from. And as I'm talking to the divine masculine, I'm fucking bawling my fucking soul out, and I'm just like, I'm angry, I'm pissed, I hate you, like, you abandoned me, you left me. And, divine masculine was like, she said, how could I be there for you if you don't let me in, if you don't allow me to? And I'm crying. And even at one point I said sorry. Just that what you said, that source abandonment, I had abandoned divine masculine in my life because I had lost faith in him, and I had lost faith in anybody supporting me and trusting that anybody would be there. And God, it was so deep, and I'm crying, and then at one point, he says, I love you. Oh, I just melted. I just completely fell apart because, and I look back in my relationships with men too, where it's like, I've been fucking angry at all my partners. I've not only was I abused, but I was also fucking abusive. I've always emasculated the men in my life because I didn't respect it. I've been angry, and so that was fucking game changing for me.
Yeah, because it's important to point out, it's like, just because there's a man doesn't mean he's divine masculine, and just because there's a woman, it doesn't mean she's divine feminine. So it's, again, to reiterate what you said earlier, these are energies. These are spiritual channels. These aren't like, oh, this is a man. So a lot of us, we perceive the divine masculine to be our father. That's our first interaction with men. that it's like our first love. And when it treats us like that, we subconsciously seek out partners who do the same. Or we, like you and I have done before too, we become the people that become, oh, I'm in control. I'm the one that's getting angry here. And that has to stop. But the thing is, it's like when we embody, we have the like you said, the yin and the yang, the masculine and feminine energy within us. In order for us to even invite the divine masculine in, we have to be in our divine feminine and to be surrendered and trusting and have faith. And that opens us up to co-create. So when you're surrendered and appreciative and in this moment, then you give birth to desire, just like you give birth in real life. And so when you give birth to desire, now you're able to co-create and call upon that masculine support to support you in carrying out that vision. And that's the way that we have, that's the future of entrepreneurship with women, because I did a speech on the divine feminine and I was like, raise your hand if you're over fucking whelmed. Like, stop acting like this feminist movement is like energizing. It's not. Like, you're overwhelmed, you're tired, you can't tell me you're not, you can't have this, anything you can do, I can do better, I can do anything better than you. It's like, no, like, we're not supposed to oppose each other. We're men and women are equal, but we're not the same. And we both embody those yin and yang energies, but to different degrees. And it's a relationship between those energies within us, and a relationship with our reality, and a relationship with source, and a relationship with our body, and a relationship with our emotions. These are all relationships that we get to cultivate.
Yeah, that's, I mean, you put it so beautifully. And Caitlin had said something too when she was, talking to me about how I feel, this fear, right, that I have, where I'm like, well, I expand and then I shrink and then I expand and I shrink. And she was like, well, because you don't have divine masculine support.
Same.
And that's when she compared it to the feminine is the womb, right? Where the place of creation, birthing, of, creating, but the masculine is the spine, the support that needs to come in to allow the female to create, for they allow the feminine to be feminine. And I think, again, you and I have both, we had distorted feminine, and then we started taking on masculine energies because we didn't.
I was exhausted when I was like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it until I did the work. When I hired my spiritual coach when I was 24, we did so much work to restore my divine feminine that I didn't even know, a fish doesn't know they're surrounded in water. Yeah. I didn't know that I was anxious and tired, and I didn't want to. I don't want to be this way. This doesn't even feel good. Yeah. But I'm just so committed to pushing through that I missed the message. But once I got out on the other side, I was like, this feels so good. But then here's what happened. I got lost in the flow. So now I'm flowing and feeling, and if it doesn't feel right, I don't want to do it. If it's not aligned, and let me get in alignment first. And what happens with a lot of people that are in that stage is we start distracting and avoiding because we're not inviting the divine masculine in to help us with stuff. So we procrastinate, distract, and avoid. And we use spirituality to disguise that. So I need to meditate first, or align first, or this doesn't really feel like an alignment to me. It's no, it actually is an alignment to you. You just don't want to do it because of your fears, because you don't feel supported. And so you need both.
Yeah.
It's not an either or, but
yeah.
Honey, there's so much to unpack.
Yeah.
But to make it really tangible for your audience, it's okay, if you're in this survival controlling place in your life where you don't trust and you're not connected, the first thing to do is to connect to something bigger than you. Even if you don't know what to call it, you're not alone. You can't do this alone. And it's to connect to something bigger than you so that you can surrender to it and you can have faith that everything is working out for you. And you can start making sense of everything. You stop making your reality your enemy, and stop reacting to your reality and start creating it. But you can't do that unless you're in a place of inside out paradigm versus outside in paradigm.
Right.
And I think that's where 90, I wouldn't say 90, I don't want to put a number on it, but a lot of people are in that paradigm where they're reacting to their reality and saying all this stuff that happened outside of me is creating the feeling that I have inside of me. And so you're stuck in this victim loop. And until you go, no, wait, hold up. when I change the internal, the external will shift. And that's the first step. But you can't do that without source.
Right.
And so it's like we were talking about last night. It's like, my boyfriend's neglecting me. It's like, okay, well, let's use the inside out paradigm versus the outside out. So like, my boyfriend's neglecting me, I feel like shit. Okay, that's victim. Let's switch it around. That's outside in. Let's do inside out. I'm neglecting me. What can I do now? Right. Well, I stopped going to the gym and I need to do this and I need to do that. Like, there's things that I need. So you start flipping it around on yourself. And when you shift you shift what you attract. Yeah. That's not my opinion. That's law. Yeah. So now you're working with the laws of the universe, but you can't work with those unless you're connected and you believe. And it just takes what is it in the a mustard seed of faith? That's all you need is a mustard seed of faith.
Yeah. Yeah. And I amen, girl. I just, and this is why I feel like this, transformative work is so important, and why I feel like this kind of just container or just this industry is kind of, really taking a lead right now, because I feel like more and more people are waking up to realizing that they do have the power.
That's right.
That they do have the power to change their reality. They do have the power within themselves to find their strength, to heal themselves, to get themselves out of their current circumstances, whatever that may be. The main point that I want to drive home is that you're not alone, and you can change anything in your life that's causing you any stress, anxiety, pain, fear. And that message is to myself, from myself.
It always is. It always is. Like, no one gets in this space. Like, no coach that I know gets in this space because they're fully healed and they know everything. Ugh. You attract clients just like you. You attract people just like you, and the messages that you're giving are also messages and reinforcements to yourself. Yeah. Always. It's like, I know confidence because I've been insecure. Yes. I know joy because I've known anxiousness. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, and I know peace now because I've known pain. And, yes. You and I would definitely resonate with that. And just even really being with all the girls in that group and just seeing, like, everybody struggles with something different.
Doesn't it change how, like I was already, like, a pretty non-judgmental person, but, like, being in that container and just seeing everyone walk into that container, now when I walk out on the streets, like, if I would see you in the club, like, doing bottle service, like, I would probably, like, I wouldn't think of judgment, but you never know. Like, she's so pretty. She's so beautiful. And so, like, when you see that beautiful girl that's all, like, glammed up and, like, she seems like she has it all together, like, we're all have a connecting point. Every last one of us. Everybody is a reflection of one consciousness. And that reminded me of that. Like, wow, we all can relate on a deep level. Mm. Like, at some level, we all have some kind of pain. We all need some kind of support. And we're lacking that sisterhood and that community. Yeah. Yeah. And in that container, I really felt like, okay, this is cool. Like, I need more of this. It's medicine.
It really, really is. Oh, and that's the thing is, like, everybody, I feel like a good amount of society is so separated. Like, even just with social media and just with the way that we're just like, I'm good. Like, everything is good. I don't need you. Don't bring your shit over here, especially, like, being from New York, where, like, there is no connectivity between people. You're walking down the street, you don't even fucking look at people. Like, there is no, like, humanity there. And that's kind of part of the reason why I moved out of New York, because I'm like, this is killing my soul, And just, people are just deeply, like for me, right? I deeply needed support. I deeply needed sisterhood, but I projected out that I was good and I didn't need it because it felt safer there. Because it feels, it feels vulnerable to be like, to feel, well, in my mind, because of my conditioning as a child, for me, asking for help was being deemed as stupid and incapable. And so I feel like a lot of people have that thing where, whatever, like, conditioning that they have from childhood, feeling like, just being vulnerable to a bunch of strangers is like something they would never fucking do, but not knowing that it's exactly what you need. It's exactly what you need to, like, break through. And just really also what I loved about it too was just the no bullshit. Like, it wasn't like Caitlin's like one of those people that's just gonna be like, okay, so like, no, she was like straight to the fucking point.
Yeah, she's like, all that love and light. Like, one of the girls, she was like, all that love and light and like keeping like, oh my god, just love and light. It's boring. It's bland. I was like, oh my god, it is. And the girl was like, it is. Like, I want to know myself. It was like, because truth may hit hard, but it resonates.
Yeah. It was really pulling off the mask. That was pulling off everybody's mask was so different.
Oh my
going
god.
in.
Day 3 versus day 1.
Yeah, and then after
who are these people? Who are you, Diana?
I know. I had so many people come up to me and were like, wow, like your transformation over these past 3 days has been so beautiful to watch. I'm just crying.
I automatically thought Diana, I was like, she doesn't like me. Like, the first thing I thought was like, I don't know why I feel like she's avoiding like connecting with me. I just thought that. I was like, I don't know why I thought that. I felt like a wall from you.
That's a wall that I have up for everyone though, because it's like, you know, my like, I don't fucking know you, I don't trust you, I don't, you know what I mean?
Who is this girl?
Yeah, who are these people? Oh, you know, you don't know me, like yeah, I definitely my ego got shot the fuck down immediately, so,
oh my God.
Which is good. I needed that. You know, like I told you before, in most rooms, I am the most like conscious or spiritually aware person, and so to come into a place like that where I'm not, when everybody's like, and I'm like, fuck, like, I needed that. I needed that. I needed that humbling so badly for me to be like, all right, let me fucking take a look at myself, you know? And I was just, you know, listening to this one book, and a quote was like, you know, most of our suffering comes from the lies that we tell ourselves. You know, and it's great to have like such strong reflections to just, you know, show you your fucking truth.
Yes.
So that you can work from that place.
Yes. And we don't have to be listeners, you don't have to be in the container to get this experience. Anybody who triggers you, anybody that you complain about, anybody that you criticize is a guru. And that is because they hold insight into places where you need to heal. Ugh. They are reflections of you. If you're like, oh my God, that girl is so judgmental. What are you doing right now, ma'am? You're judging. Like, I remember my aunt used to piss me off. I used to be like, oh my God, she's so annoying. She thinks she knows everything. Blah, 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 blah. She's so uncompromising. Yeah. And then I had to say, I'm that way. Oh. And I get an opportunity to change that. Yeah. And that's a way that we can relate to our reality, and where you don't necessarily have to be in a container like that to relate to your reality like that. Like, someone's flicking you off in traffic, I did that. What kind of anxiety am I holding in my being? What kind of anger am I holding in my being? It's a checkpoint. Yes. Everything. I remember one time I kept telling myself, stop texting and driving, right? It was a few years ago. I was like, stop texting and driving. You need to stop texting and driving. I kept saying and then I remember, like, I went over the stop line just a little bit, and there's this guy, and he had so much rage that it jolted my soul. He was like, get off your fucking phone! And I was like, oh my God! But instead of being like, oh my God, that guy's an asshole, I was like, I did that. Yeah. I've been telling myself to get the hell off my phone. Thank you for reminding me, after I calmed down, of course. But this is like the cultivation of that relationship with your environment and taking 100% accountability and getting out of that victimhood.
Accountability. Oh, girl, you need such a whole course on accountability, because for me, what I've noticed as I'm growing, right, and ascending and expanding, I continue to be attacked by unconscious beings, and it's always like the same story. It's not me, it's you, Diana. And I'm like, okay, but I'm just a reflection.
Right. Hi, I'm a mirror.
And I'm literally not doing anything but being here and like being myself, and it's so triggering for you. Like, and I've even tried, you know, and it's been like really fucking close friends of mine that I've lost because they were like, I'm like, well, can we explore like the lens that you're seeing this through and why you're feeling, you know.
That probably pisses them off.
It did. They were like, what the fuck lens are you talking about? It's you. You're doing this. You're disrespecting me. I'm like, girl, I love you. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? And so it's been this process for me too of just spiritual path sometimes. You gotta lose friends sometimes, because I'm trying to
vibrate up or vibrate out. It's not personal, it's vibrational. That's what I always tell people. Nothing is personal, it's just vibrational. Maybe we'll connect back. Yeah. But it's easy for you to go down to their level. It's hard for them to come up to yours. When you run downhill, you can go fast, right?
Oh.
It's easy. Try running uphill. It's harder. Yeah. So it's like we have mirror neurons. Like we are, like, that's science, right? Yeah. Like, just to ground that a little bit, to like, we mirror the people that we're around. So if you're around those people, you're going to adopt that consciousness at some point to a certain degree. So it's like my alignment is number one, period. Like my alignment with source and my path is, my feet are stuck to this path like glue. And my alignment with source comes first. So it's not personal, baby, it's vibrational. And so I had to learn to have boundaries. I didn't have those before. I had so many people in my life last year where I didn't have any boundaries with them, and I was just being so compassionate. Everybody with compassion needs to have boundaries around that compassion. Ooh. Because when you lose up your alignment, you're no justice to anybody anyway. Oh. You can't serve, you can't hold space, you can't be of any assistance when your vibration is being held down, because you don't have the boundaries and you're people pleasing and you're surrounding yourself with people so that you feel good about yourself. And being able to look at yourself. I remember my therapist was like 2 years ago, she was like, you subconsciously surround yourself with people who are below you because it makes you feel safe. And I was like, ew, you're right. I didn't even know I was doing that. And so when I made space, that's what we got to do with everything, right? Make space. I invited beautiful, conscious, loving, heart-centered women and men in my life that exemplified who I want to be and what I already am and where I'm going. But it wasn't until I made space for that. And sometimes it's hard. It's like, and you don't got to be like, we're over here. Like, we're done. It's just like, we naturally kind of just like, I'm not about to force it. Like, a lot of us feel like, oh, I haven't talked to so-and-so, I should probably call them. It's like, no, whatever. Like, if it's not happening, it's not happening. We'll connect.
Yeah, and that's why, even, again, the sisterhood that we walked into, right? Because I don't get a chance to be around those vibrations. Like again, you get me high, all the girls in that container gets me high, Caitlin gets me high. I'm like, give me more of this,
Caitlin's a badass.
Yeah, and it definitely raised my vibration up immediately. Even when I told you, when I went to work Saturday night, like I couldn't even I couldn't even function in that place. And then people were all looking at me like, what the fuck? There's like something like different about this girl. Something's wrong. Because I was in this high ass place from just being around you guys. And yeah, it's like, that's the accountability that you get when you surround yourself with people that are just conscious, heart-centered, and that just are willing to look at themselves and do the work and reflect that back to you. And so it is tough to know that you are going to lose friends on this path, and you are going to, but like you said,
but they serve their purpose.
They did, right?
Every relationship that you're in, whether it's romantic or not, platonic, friendship, whatever, is perfect for you because you're learning something. And when it's if you can let go gracefully and like the Buddhists, like non-attachment. And that's why, because everybody serves a purpose on your path, but sometimes you just vibrate out of that. And I know for me, I evolve like every 3 months. It's like, I'm rebirthing on a constant
I'm not
basis.
the same person I was before the weekend,
right.
girl.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
Me either.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Potent stuff.
It's super potent medicine. So why don't we end off by you just kind of going, what is the biggest lesson that you got, or just the deepest message, or whatever it is that was the most profound for you that you got out of this weekend?
This is going to sound really simple for other people, but for me, it was my willingness to let go of perfection and to step in a space and say, I'm willing to be imperfect, because it's the thing about me is I'm super confident in myself, but when it comes to my leadership and my work, I start to be because I'm rising into a new level, oh my God. And it's no, you know what? I'm willing to be imperfect in this space. I'm willing to not. Oh, and here's the biggest thing as I'm talking about that is I always felt like I was too much, that I was intimidating or too much. And I think I subconsciously or unconsciously, I didn't even know I was doing it with shrink. But now I step into space and I'm like, I'm 5'8", I'm tall. This is my personality, like not overbearing, but like, yes, I have a powerful energy. And what about it? You know what I mean?
Owning it, yes.
Yeah, owning it. Owning that bigness and saying, you know, for so long I had this really deep-seated belief that if I were too big, too spiritual, too high vibrating, that I would be unrelatable and therefore unlovable. And then I wouldn't be able to attract a man in my life that way, or like who, you know, trying to stay tapped into what's going on right now. Like, that's not me. Like, no, this is who I am. And even in the spiritual space as a coach, like breaking down and being like, I'm a fucking badass coach, and I like to twerk, and I like to wear this kind of clothes, and it doesn't have to look like me wearing, I love long skirts, I wear them all the time, but it doesn't have to look like that. Me like meditating in a garden all the time. You know what I mean? Like, this is the bigness of who I am, and no, it doesn't look like this, and I want this to empower other people to say, I don't have to be this cookie cutter way to be spiritual, because we're all spiritual beings. So it's like, okay, let me step into that bigness and see what happens. And I'm fully stepped in. I'm like, what's up?
Yes.
Let's do this. Yes. Like, I got it.
That was powerful for you, and I could feel that, because I mean, I worked with you on that.
You did.
You know, and that was like, wow, like it.
Why is she shrinking herself? How weird. What are you doing? Caitlin was like, excuse me, and she got in my face with her beautiful blue eyes. And I'm like, you're so pretty. That's what I'm thinking. So pretty. And she gets in my face and she's like, Lorelai, like, you're this big force and you're shrinking like a little girl. Do you want to continue living your life like this? And I'm like, no! And I hugged her. I was like, no, I don't want to. Like, you know? She's like, no, you're not going to get out of this. I'm like,
oh my God. Dude, that
was embarrassing.
Oh, just a little background. So basically, like, she'll call you up to the front of the room, you know, like, and everybody like has that panic, like, oh, I'm going to the front of the classes, you know.
I wanted to go first.
Yeah, like, and Lorelai's like, I want to go first, because she's an overachiever, you know. She gets a challenge, you know. Caitlin's like, all right, well, now you have to give this keynote speech.
I was like, about what? She's like, I don't know, go. I'm like, I was so embarrassed.
I mean,
I froze.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of girls froze up there, because that's where the work is, right? Where you're like not in a place of comfortability. You're not safe. You're not secure. How do you react? And it was like, honestly, no one was judging you, or no one like felt that you needed to be embarrassed, because you looked bad as hell being up there anyway, just freezing. It didn't matter.
But it was like,
I was just like, she's so stylish up there, not doing shit, not saying nothing.
I know, we have like a bromance going on. I don't know what it's called, like a girl, what is it? A girl version of a bromance going on. I'm like, she's so cute. No, but like that's the beauty of being in an uncomfortable place, that it does shine light on your unconscious patterns. She's like, you're not going deep enough, and I'm like, I feel like I'm deep as fuck, you know? But she's like, no, you're not, and I'm like, really? It's just like shining light on these unconscious. They're unconscious. It's not in your conscious mind. But yeah. So what was yours?
Man, fuck. I feel like so many things. The biggest thing for me was coming into this place of realizing that I deserve to be supported. And I think for me, you know, coming from such abuse and neglect and abandonment, you know, you do get into this place where you're like, I'm unworthy, I'm undeserving, I'm invaluable, and, you know, and it's really hard to break free of that programming. And, you know, energetically, subconsciously, I was pushing that out there to the universe. I was, you know, broadcasting it. Hey, universe, source, don't give me anything, because I'm not deserving.
Right.
Don't support me, because I'm not valuable, and I'm not, you know. And so really coming to this breakthrough of like, no, I do deserve to be supported. I deserve to receive everything that I want. And now I'm being open and trusting, and really once I really healed that relationship with the divine masculine, and trusting that it was me that abandoned spirit, right? It wasn't the other way around.
Totally.
And really coming back into that relationship, you know what? I trust you. I trust that you will always carry me through, and I don't need to have control over everything, and I don't need to be in a place of fear and lack, and because I'm not alone in this. And I think even and the connection, right, and just reestablishing that connection, and it's embodied in all the girls that were in there too, because like you said, we're all divine beings, right? And so even when I went up first day to introduce myself, and she's like, lock eyes with everyone, I didn't really fucking do that. I was like,
you didn't?
I like scanned.
First of all, that was super vulnerable.
Yeah. But that is it. My fear and lack of connection was like, I'm not even gonna look at people's eyes because like that's uncomfortable and I don't feel worthy to look in people's eyes. Yeah, that shit was fucking, it was so many levels.
There's
to it.
So much that we walked away from. It's hard to just pinpoint one.
But it was that, and just reestablish that connection. And by the end, yes.
The devotion. Like waking up and all of us like putting that devotion first.
Yeah.
Period.
But yeah, by the end, I was like hugging people for 5 fucking minutes.
You were so different. I was like, it's interesting that you don't identify as vulnerable, because like puts you in a safe place, which is so important for like being devoted to source. Like as soon as you felt safe, you were like the most vulnerable. You were inspiring me. I was like, I need to be more vulnerable. What the hell? Like you were like really, really being vulnerable in that container and just letting it all out. And it's just like, goes to show you like you said, the lies that we tell ourselves that we're not supported and that we're not safe. And as soon as you did feel supported and safe in this physical realm, you were able to be vulnerable. So now you get to foster that with spirit.
And I'm excited. It's been a couple days since we've been out of that container, and I can already feel the shifts like in my being. Like I feel like I moved through mountains of stuff.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, energy work, spiritual work. It's exhausting. Make sure you take care of yourself. That self-love, self-care regimen. Make sure you're getting all the things that you need to support yourself, because this work is not easy.
It's a line for like the energy work is the work.
Yeah.
Everything else comes easy. And so one thing that I think your audience would really, 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 really love is a planner that I created. Yes.
Okay, please tell them about this. I'm super excited about this.
Yeah. So I just renamed it this morning because I was like, anyways, it's called Align and Hustle. Mm-hmm. It's a daily planner for creators, conscious creators and entrepreneurs. And when I say creators, you don't have to be an entrepreneur, just a creator of your own reality. And so it walks you through weekly intentions on how to work through these blocks that we do. And I recommend that it's a 90-day planner. And on each day you get to check off the things that help you stay in alignment, because when you get in alignment, the universe hustles for you. Like the universe hustles for you when you're in alignment. And so you get to check off daily. And this has been overlooked by my good friend who used to be a monk at a monastery for like 10 years. And he looked it over and made sure that we're covering all the chakras and all that, even though you don't see that in there. So I put a lot of love into this. And so for anybody that's looking to alleviate themselves and to find love and within themselves and to find that alignment with source, these are practical, tangible steps to doing so. And so with this 90-day planner, I recommend that you run through it one planner every 90 days.
Yes.
So that you're soaking up something new every single time. And so you can find that at alignandhustle.co. If you sign up by October 5th, you are automatically enrolled in a 5-day manifesting challenge where I'm going to be sitting with you and sending you videos on how to connect with your breath, connect with yourself, and my top things for manifesting a life that you desire and for aligning yourself with source, so that we can make all this stuff that we're unpacking really, really practical and tangible for you to do in your everyday life. So you can find me on Lorelei Bayette on Instagram, LORALEI, B as in boy, AYETTE. And go ahead and head over to alignandhustle.co so that you can get enrolled in that 5-day challenge. Because even if you don't get the planner, the 5-day challenge is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just knowing you and being your friend, like Lorelai not only talks the talk, she walks the walk. She applies these principles to her life on a daily basis, which is why her life is so amazing. And everything that she does, she puts her heart and soul into it. It's with integrity and it's with love. And I mean, I'm excited. I'm so excited for you to launch this.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
We're best friends now, guys.
No, we really are. So. Soul sisters for sure. Yeah. For sure. But yeah, I mean, I am so grateful for you and just all the energy and the light and the love that you carry, that you embody. True divine feminine spirit here. Oh, just...
You too. Like, I'm inspired by your vulnerability and your openness, and it's helping me access more of my openness, because my mission is leadership right now, but I don't want to ever forget that vulnerability and that what's your sign, by the way, really quick?
I'm an Aquarius.
What's your moon sign?
Cancer.
You don't have any Libra energy in there?
I have Leo rising.
Leo rising. Interesting.
The Cancer is the emotional, the watery, right? Like my moon, my heart, my emotion. I'm like,
I love that.
Constantly crying.
No, but I love it. Like, I love seeing a woman process their emotions just so willingly and so gracefully. So,
what is your November 2nd, Scorpio?
I was born on the day of transformation.
Hey.
I'm a Scorpio, Sagittarius moon, Sagittarius rising.
Wow. Oh, I love Sagittarius. That must be it. It must be it. Well, I hope you guys were able to really absorb all of the nuggets of wisdom and love and light that we were just kind of processing through ourselves, right, to be honest. And, we will be communicating with you. You can always find me on Instagram at The Urban Indigo. I'm, like Lorelai said, I'm very vulnerable and transparent with my spiritual journey, and Lorelai is as well. And I'll be tagging her in this episode here. So yeah, thanks for listening. I'm sending you guys so much love and joy and abundance and light on your journeys, and so much healing and support. I hope you cultivate a community of support around you so that you can live in your highest and be connected to all that is. And so it is.
And so it is.
All right, guys.
Bye.